Many people that get into ancient cultures end up getting asphyxiated onto the idea of colossal stonework. It gets to a point to where it's almost ununderstandable how such large stones could have even been used or created. Most people that look at this look at the pregnant woman stone of Baalbek and realize that's just way out of the size of anything that could possibly be moved. It's literally like the tractor trailer on a common diesel truck that we see in that size, but made out of solid granite. If put on a truck like that, it would just pop the tires and create it in. It wouldn't be anything possible. All kinds of things would have to be done to end up making this a reality in some way, even with our modern technology on tractor trucks. But did you know that there are much larger stones than the ones that we claim are the largest that are sitting here in Egypt? They're right near a civilization called Minya, and this is also near the ancient colossal statues that we looked at. It's kind of crazy it doesn't get mentioned, but where this is at is Minya, that's over here, and that's on this side of the Nile, but the colossus statues are over here. And this is something that was made to point it out. There's one colossus here, there's another colossus up here. And these are statues that are so huge compared to other statues, it just dwarfs it all. Someone said the earliest statue that we have that connects to the statues that they have been built at this time was the Statue of Liberty. And then someone mentioned that's not made out of stone and it's hollow and just sheets put on top of it, and a facade, where this would have actually been solid and something quite different. But most people, whenever they look at things like this, they go off of what they know and what they hear, and some things just don't get shown to you. Here's a look at this stone here, and you can tell it's being worked on very much. But then people want to look at the early Baalbek stone and compare the two, and there's actually no comparison. This is much larger. And in fact, it's actually shown that on it is drawn a depiction of a pharaoh in his stepping forward stance. And this would actually be something that ends up being as large, if not larger, than the giant colossuses of Ramses and things that we know about. The colossus statues that were sitting down and so on like that, for this one is standing up. This isn't trying to be an obelisk or anything like the giant obelisk that people know about that's left there, that's bigger than any one that we have to date or know of to this point. But this would have been actually created into a giant statue over 70 foot tall and rivaling any statue that's ever been built anywhere in the world, and it's in Egypt. But it dates to the Ptolemaic era in time, so that shows you something a little different, and the fact that they already had the idea of how to do this and knew it at that time. It's sculpted out, caverns down through it and so on, and it's ready to go, just like the obelisk one is, and just like the great pregnant stone of Baalbek. Most people, when they look at this in those times, they don't realize that Egypt owned and was over the people that were in the area in that time. So it's easy to see how some of the great statues that were built there were built out of stone, but it doesn't necessarily come from Egypt. In fact, original giant stonework came into Egypt. That's for another video though, but one thing that's real interesting is that people look at all of these giant statues and monoliths that they have here and the size of them, and it becomes something that is unreasonable. You can see all the blocks on the left-hand side of the picture that are being taken out of it, and those are so huge, people talk about, how did they even move this? And of course, they floated it across the Nile and done things like that, made it buoyant. There's an ancient story about something that comes out to be like sorcery and magic because they actually made stones light as wood. How did that work out? Well, basically, if you tie enough wood to one, it'll float like wood, and that's just amazing that things like that can happen. In modern day, we understand a lot of these concepts, but in elder times, things like this were looked at as being magic in some way. And then if people don't witness it and they see the end product of it, they also infer magic on that idea. So we end up having people claiming aliens or magic or some kind of weird force that they had and all these other things, instead of just actually saying these were ancient great Caucasians and they had figured out great things. As we get deeper in this society, we realize they had trigonometry and all kinds of things, extensive maths, a deep knowledge of the way things go. In fact, the pyramids are built off the size of the world itself. And so their knowledge that we even give them credit for is much larger than anybody's willing to give credit for still to this point. You hear people try to muff it off all the time, and then they can show it to you on a piece of paper and show you, here's how it works out. And there's no way around it. But believe it or not, you'll hear some people still saying it afterwards. It's kind of crazy. But these giant statues that are shown here, and the size of them actually outweigh the Baalbek statues, and most people don't refer to them. I thought I would just give you a chance to take a look at something else that's another anomaly that's just up here off the side in central Egypt that was being made, that too, like the pregnant stones of Baalbek, was never totally finished. Let me know what you think downstairs. Peace.